Good morning, everyone. Friday, the 7th of August. I start with a question. It's a serious question. Who is Jesus in your life? Is he really the bedrock upon which you build your life and build your living? Or is he someone who simply appears from time to time, perhaps when you remember and wake up early enough to go to church, or when there's some drastic need in your life and you remember to pray? Who is Jesus in your life? Is he God himself, God in human form, or is he just another person? I ask this question because if we go back to a topic that we've been looking at this week, the man Gideon, and the way that with a very small number of men he defeated the enemy because God was with him. What happened afterwards? Well, Gideon had many wives. There's a bit of a mistake. And he had many sons from those wives. And the one son, by the name of Abimelech, decided that he wanted to be the king in his father's place. And so when his dad, Gideon, died, he murdered all his brothers, all except for one, about 70 people murdered. And he then proclaimed himself king. Well, as you can imagine, that caused quite a lot of chaos. And that was the downfall of him and of Israel. They had gone backwards in what they had wanted to achieve. God was not center to Abimelech's life. God was simply the means to an end. That's why I ask you that question. Who or what is God in your life? If we turn to Peter and John, and they had healed that beggar who is now walking and talking and jumping, and they are called before the rulers, the priestly rulers of the time. And the rulers order them to keep quiet. They are not to speak about who Jesus is. And Peter and John, filled with the Holy Spirit, said, but that's impossible. We lived with this man. We know who he is. You see, Jesus was the bedrock of their life. They knew what they believed. They knew who Jesus was. For the high priests of the day, they simply followed the written law. There was no relationship in that. They just felt that obedience was all that was required. It's not. For Peter and John, Jesus is the bedrock of their life. Who is your bedrock? Today, and let me conclude with this, today we remember a man called Dominic. He was an ordained minister in the church. He died in the year 1221, so quite a while back. And he lived in a time of great moral laxity in the church, but he had this passionate belief that Jesus was the bedrock of his life and that the teaching of Jesus was the truth to which he needed to aspire. And no one else, or very few other people, followed that kind of process. Jesus was simply a means to an end. And so Dominic started an order, the Dominicans, or also known as the Order of Preachers. And they went out and they preached the truth. They preached the Bible to people. And they had a great impact on the world, and many people followed them. And so, dear friends, who is Jesus in your life? Is he a means to an end, or is he the bedrock? That, to mix my metaphor, that pivot upon which your life moves and turns, but from which it never deviates. Who is Jesus in your life? Commit your life to him, because there is no other way. And as we have seen over and over and over again, to turn away from Jesus is to actually lose your life and for chaos to erupt. So let's not do that. Folks, have a wonderful weekend. We'll chat again next week. God bless.